want to talk to you today about culture and crime in South America. I did a little bit of research. I well, actually, a lot of my research is based on just my life that I've lived here for the last 3 years. I've received a really good education in culture. I got to tell you, folks, when I moved here, I I was in such a state of shock. I don't know how I made it. I honestly don't know how I made it. I listened to a couple of YouTubers for quite an extended period of time before I moved here, and I followed their advice, what little advice they gave. But they forgot something. They forgot to talk much about culture. If they did, it certainly must have not have been good enough for me to remember, because I don't remember much of any of it. So I got to thinking about, what to talk about for this episode. I want to share my experiences, but I also want to tell you what I've learned. I've done a lot of research on this idea of culture and the cultural differences between North America and South America, Ecuador included, So here's what I found out. I wrote all this down. I'm going to read to you. Forgive me if I stumble on my own words, but, hey, you come try this, okay? This episode is about embracing cultural differences, a perspective on living abroad in South America. Moving from the United States to a foreign land, especially one of culturally rich and diverse as South America, presents both challenges and opportunities. For many expats, the experience is transformative, offering a new lens through which to view life, relationships, and personal identity. Adjusting to life in a different culture requires not just an open mind, but also a deep understanding and appreciation of the subtle nuances that define everyday life in your new environment, your new home. The first major differences you might notice when moving from North America to South America is what I call the rhythm of life. In the U.S., there's often a strong emphasis on efficiency, punctuality, and productivity. Get it done. Do it now. The American lifestyle tends to be fast-paced, with people constantly moving from one task to the next, often without very little downtime. Many South American countries value a more relaxed approach to time. It's often known as La Hora Latina. This cultural phenomenon is not about laziness, but rather reflects a different prioritization. Relationships and personal interactions often take precedence over strict adherence to schedules. The relaxed attitude towards time can initially be frustrating for newcomers, especially those accustomed to the American way of life. Meetings start late, contractors get here when they get here, social gatherings may extend for hours. Learning to embrace this flexibility can lead to a deeper connection with the local culture. It allows you to live more in the moment, enjoying the company of others without the constant pressure of the clock. Another significant cultural difference is the importance placed on family and community. This is a big one, folks. In the United States, there's a strong emphasis on individualism and self-reliance. Many Americans take pride in their ability to go it alone. I got this, whether in business, personal life, or even in solving problems. In contrast, South American cultures tend to be more collectivist. Family is often at the center of social life, and extended families usually live close to one another, frequently interacting in day-to-day life. This emphasis on family extends beyond blood relations. In South America, it's common for friends to be treated like family, with the concept of compadres, or close family friends, playing a significant role in one's social network. As an expat, this means that building strong personal relationships is crucial. Being invited into someone's home for a meal or to celebrate a family event is not just an honor, it's an essential part of integrating with the community. Communication styles often differ significantly between the U.S. and South America. In the U.S., communication tends to be direct and to the point. Americans often value clarity and efficiency in conversation, with a focus on getting the message across as quickly and clearly as possible. However, in many South American countries, communication is often more indirect and nuanced. Politeness and avoiding confrontation are important, and people might use more roundabout ways of expressing disagreement or dissatisfaction. This can be tricky. It can be tricky areas for expats to navigate. For instance, a straightforward critique that might be acceptable in a U.S. workplace could be seen as rude or overly harsh in a South American context. It's important to listen carefully and pay attention to the subtleties in conversation. Over time, you'll learn to pick up on these cues and adapt your communication style accordingly. Social norms and expectations are another area where cultural differences become apparent. For example, in the U.S., there's often a strong emphasis on personal space. Americans generally prefer to maintain a certain distance during conversations, and physical contact is usually limited to handshakes in professional settings. South Americans tend to be more physically expressive. It's common for people to greet each other with a hug or a kiss on the cheek, even in some professional contexts. This can be very surprising for those not used to such displays of affection, but it's important to understand that these gestures are a normal part of social interaction here. Learning to accept and even reciprocate these gestures can help you build stronger connections with those around you. Another difference lies in the concept of personal responsibility versus social expectations. In the U.S., the idea of personal responsibility is highly valued. People are often expected to take care of themselves and make decisions based on what is best for their individual needs and goals. In contrast, South American cultures might place more emphasis on fulfilling societal roles and expectations, especially concerning family and family obligations and communal responsibilities. Living in a foreign land as an expat is a journey of constant learning and adaptation, to say the least. While the cultural differences between the U.S. and South America can sometimes feel overwhelming, they also offer a unique opportunity for personal growth. As you navigate these differences, you'll likely find that your perspective on life begins to shift. You may become more patient, more understanding of others' viewpoints, and more appreciative of the richness that comes from diverse cultural experiences, like you'll find here. One of the most significant aspects of living abroad is the opportunity to reflect on your own cultural identity. As you adapt to your new surroundings, you'll find that certain aspects of your American identity become more pronounced while others fade into the background. This process can lead to a deeper understanding of yourself and your place in the world. Moreover, living in South America can teach you the value of community, the importance of taking time to enjoy life, and the beauty of building deep, meaningful relationships. It's a chance to step outside the fast-paced, often individualistic mindset of American culture and embrace a way of life that values connection, tradition, and the simple pleasures of daily life. Now let's talk about crime. The topic of crime often is significant concern for those considering a move to a foreign country, especially in regions like South America where media coverage sometimes emphasizes crime rates. However, when examining crime in the context of cultural adjustment, it's essential to approach the issue with a balanced perspective, considering not just the raw statistics, but also the cultural, societal, and demographic factors that are all at play. One of the first things to consider is how crime is perceived and reported in different cultures. This is very important. In the United States, crime reporting tends to be widespread and often sensationalized by social and news media, leading to heightened public awareness and concern. South American cultures, on the other hand, might have different media landscapes and societal attitudes towards crime. In some places, certain types of crime might be underreported, or there might be a cultural acceptance of certain risk as part of daily life. When considering crime rates, it's also crucial to understand the context in which these statistics are presented. Comparing the crime rate of a large, densely populated city in South America with a small town in the U.S. can certainly be misleading. Urban areas worldwide tend to have higher crime rates due to the concentration of people, economic disparities, and other factors that contribute to criminal behavior. It's important to compare similar settings, urban to urban, rural to rural, when assessing crime risk. The population differences between North American and South American countries also play a role in the perception of crime. The U.S. has a much larger population than any individual South American country, which means that crime statistics, when viewed in absolute numbers, can seem disproportionately higher or lower depending on the context. For example, a city with 10 million people is likely to have more reported crimes than a town of 100,000. But this doesn't necessarily mean the city is less safe. It's important to consider that crime rates are often reported per capita, meaning they are adjusted for population size. This method gives a more accurate picture of the crime risk in different areas. Even per capita rates don't tell the whole story. Factors such as poverty, inequality, and social unrest can influence crime rates and should be considered when evaluating the safety of a particular region. For many expats, the reality of living in South America often differs from the perception created by crime statistics and media reports, not to mention social media rumors. While it's true that certain areas may have higher crime rates, it's also true that many expats live safely and happily in South American countries simply by taking common sense precautions. Understanding local customs, being aware of your surroundings, and building relationships within the community can significantly reduce your risk of encountering crime. In many cases, the crime that expats are most likely to encounter is petty theft, such as pickpocketing or bag snatching, which can often be avoided by simple precautions. It's also worth noting that the risk of crime varies widely from one location to another, just as in the U.S., where some cities are known for being safer than others. The same is true in South America. Researching specific neighborhoods, talking to locals, connecting with other expats can provide invaluable insights into which areas are safer and which should be avoided. While it's natural to be concerned about crime when moving to a new country, it's important not to let fear overshadow the potential benefits of living abroad. Crimes exist everywhere, folks, including in the U.S., but it's often manageable with the right approach. The key is to balance your concerns with the realities on the ground, taking into account both statistical data and the lived experiences of others who have made it. For example, many expats find that once they settle into their new environment, their initial fears about crime diminish. They discover that, like anywhere else, life in South America involves a mix of challenges and rewards. But staying informed, practicing situational awareness, and integrating into the local community, many find that their quality of life improves significantly despite the concerns they may have had about crime. So in conclusion, I want to say that adjusting to life in a foreign land like Ecuador is both a challenge and a privilege. It requires a willingness to embrace new customs, to be patient with differences, lots of patience, and to open yourself up to new ways of thinking and living. While the journey may be difficult at times, the rewards are immeasurable. By immersing yourself in a new culture, you not only gain a broader perspective on the world, but also enrich your own life in ways you may never have imagined. Sharing these experiences can provide valuable insights to others who may be considering a similar path, helping them to navigate the complexities of living abroad while also appreciating the incredible opportunities it offers. While crime is a legitimate concern when moving to a new country, it's important to approach it with a balanced and informed perspective. The differences in population, reporting practices, and cultural attitudes between North and South America can create a skewed perception of risk. By understanding the context of crime statistics, taking practical precautions, and engaging with the local community, expats can navigate these challenges quite effectively. Ultimately, the rewards of living in a culturally rich and diverse region like South America often far outweigh the risk, leading to a fulfilling and enriching experience abroad. So that's it. That's it for this episode. I hope you got something out of this. I hope you gained something. Folks, it's not any different here than it is anywhere else in the world. There are cultural differences, and you have to learn. You have to learn them, and you have to learn to adapt to them. If you can't adapt to them, then you have to think about options. Options like going to another country or going back home. Some people here like to say, if you don't like it, leave. I don't say that. I don't say if you don't like it, leave. I say if you don't like it, change it. If you can't change it, explore options. Look at other opportunities. It's a big place. We live in a big place.